6 new Canada Work Permit Program changes coming soon. Canada is set to implement 6 major changes to its temporary foreign worker program, aiming to modernize the system while addressing employer concerns and worker rights. This video, revealed in internal government documents, could significantly impact migrant workers across agriculture, fish processing, and other sectors. If you are interested in this topic, please pay attention and watch the video through to the end to get all the information. Please hit like and subscribe, and don't forget to push the notification bell for an upcoming video. So, without any further delay, let's jump into the video. In July 2025, internal documents from Employment and Social Development Canada revealed 6 proposed changes to the Temporary Foreign Worker Program, a critical component of Canada's labour force management. These reforms, which include sector-specific permits, wage deductions, and relaxed housing standards, aim to address industry complaints while attempting to enhance worker mobility. At the center of the debate is the government's attempt to strike a balance between economic necessity and social responsibility. The TFWP supports over 106,000 workers and 7,400 employers annually, primarily in agriculture, fish processing, and caregiving sectors. However, the proposed reforms have triggered fierce debate about fairness, human rights, and Canada's immigration priorities. 6 major proposed reforms for Temporary Foreign Worker Program. The 6 reforms, disclosed in internal ESDC documents accessed by the Migrant Rights Network during the 2025 consultation process, were shaped through feedback from industry stakeholders and labor representatives. These reforms span key areas like worker mobility, wage structures, housing conditions, transportation access, healthcare responsibilities, and administrative processes. 1. Sector-specific work permits. The most notable change is the proposed sector-specific work permits, targeted at the agriculture and fish processing stream. Unlike closed permits that tie workers to a single employer, these permits would allow movement within the same sector over a 2-year period, provided the worker secures a new job offer. While this appears to enhance worker mobility, critics note that the requirement for a new job offer still places substantial power in the hands of employers. The ability to change jobs could be hindered by limited availability and the risk of blacklisting. 2. Wage deductions. Employers would be permitted to deduct housing, utilities, and transportation expenses from workers' wages. While this change is framed as cost recovery for employers, it raises concerns about diminishing already modest worker incomes. These deductions could total thousands of dollars annually, significantly cutting into earnings for many workers who rely on remittances to support families abroad. 3. Housing standards. The reforms suggest eliminating indoor temperature regulations meant to protect workers in environments like greenhouses and processing facilities. These regulations were introduced to prevent health issues caused by extreme heat. Critics argue that removing these protections increases the risk of heat-related illnesses and worsens living conditions. 4. Transportation arrangements. Employers would gain flexibility in how they provide transportation to and from work sites. Though intended to reduce red tape for employers, this proposal could result in inadequate, inconsistent, or unsafe transport options, especially in rural regions where reliable alternatives are limited. 1. Healthcare provisions. Ambiguity around employer responsibilities for healthcare is another controversial feature. The proposed language does not clearly establish accountability, which could lead to gaps in access to medical care, particularly in isolated communities with minimal healthcare infrastructure. 6. Streamlined administrative processes. The final reform involves simplifying the labor market impact assessment process, making it easier and faster for employers to hire temporary foreign workers. The government sees this as a way to boost efficiency, but critics warn that it may reduce oversight and accountability in the hiring process. The Migrant Rights Network's critique, a cosmetic change? On July 30, 2025, the Migrant Rights Network issued a report criticizing the proposed reforms as largely symbolic. The organization argues that while sector-specific work permits suggest enhanced freedom, they fail to deliver substantive change and maintain systemic employer control. 1. Employer control and blacklisting. Despite allowing movement within a sector, workers would still require a new job offer to switch employers. This structure, according to the network, allows employers to blacklist workers who speak out or leave jobs, making it difficult to secure new positions and deterring workers from reporting abuse. 2. Lessons from past programs. The network references the Open Work Permit for Vulnerable Workers program, which theoretically provides abused workers with mobility. In practice, however, participants struggle to find new employers, often being labeled as problematic for having reported mistreatment. 3. No path to permanent residency. The report criticizes the absence of any provisions for permanent residency in the new reforms. Advocates have long demanded that workers be granted a path to remain in Canada permanently. Without such a pathway, workers remain perpetually temporary, dependent on employer sponsorship to maintain legal status. Executive Director Syed Hassan called the reforms incremental, adding, "Without open permits and permanent residency, workers remain trapped in a system that breeds exploitation." The Temporary Foreign Worker Program, Origins and Challenges. Introduced in 1973, the TFWP was designed to address labor shortages in sectors with low domestic interest. It includes both low-wage and high-wage streams and requires employers to conduct a labor market impact assessment to prove no Canadians are available for the role. During the COVID-19 pandemic, the program expanded to meet urgent labor demands, particularly in food production and healthcare. This expansion led to an increase in issued permits, but also amplified existing concerns about mistreatment, unsafe conditions, and lack of legal protections. In 2024, the United Nations Special Rapporteur on Contemporary Forms of Slavery labeled the program a breeding ground for modern slavery. Despite protective measures introduced that year such as improved inspections and capped wage deductions, the 2025 reforms could weaken these safeguards. The path forward, toward a fairer system. As the ESDC and Immigration, Refugees and Citizenship Canada review feedback, the debate around the TFWP's future continues to intensify. Employers advocate for flexibility and lower costs, while advocates stress the need for permanent residency pathways, open permits, and stronger enforcement of rights. One proposed compromise is forming a multi-stakeholder task force comprising government, industry, unions, and workers to redesign the program from the ground up. Pilot projects involving open permits or transitional PR pathways could be used to evaluate real-world effectiveness. Conclusion: a defining moment for Canada's labour policy. Canada's Temporary Foreign Worker Program is at a crossroads. With 106,000 workers depending on it for income and 7,400 employers relying on it for operations, the system must evolve in a way that reflects both economic realities and human dignity. The proposed reforms offer limited improvements to worker mobility but fail to address core issues like employer dominance, lack of permanent status, and reduced worker protections. Migrant workers are not disposable labor, they are individuals who deserve security, respect, and fair treatment. That is all for today, in this video. What are your thoughts on this? Please let us know in the comments section below. Thanks for watching the entire video. Hopefully, the information is useful to you. See you later, in the next video. Till then, take care.